All right, so this is, guys, this is like our geometry review day. So today we are reviewing transformations, angles, and volume of solids. So we're going to do a little bit in the PowerPoint, and then we'll do a little bit of independent practice in IXL. All right, so on the first one, if I'm going 3 units to the left, would I be adding or subtracting? I am subtracting from 4. If I'm going 2 units up, would I add or subtract from y? I would add. So 4 minus 3 is 1. 6 plus 2 is 8. Did you guys get 1, 8? Okay. So to describe the translation from one point to its image, I'm looking at my x values. If I were to go from a 6 to a 2, which way am I moving, left or right? I'm moving to the left. How many units? Okay, so I'm going to say left, 4 units. And then on my y values, to go from a 5 to an 8,
you go up 3.
I would go up 3 units. Okay. All right, lines X and Y are parallel. So there's my key word. They're parallel. Now, this is not necessarily the answer to this question, but if 2 lines are parallel, will there be a solution?
No.
There is no solution to the system. That's what we learned the other day. So if both of these lines are reflected in the x-axis, so which way are they flipping? Up and down or left and right? If they flip over the x-axis, they're going up and down, okay? Are the images parallel? Absolutely. If the same transformation, do you see how it says both lines are reflected? The same transformation has happened to both lines, so yes, they are parallel. If this was a question on your final, it would be a simple yes or no answer. Okay, a triangle has angle measurements of 42 and 56. What is the measure of the third angle? So I know 42 and I know 56, but I don't know my third angle. All right, so 42 plus 56 plus x. What is the sum of the angle measurements of a triangle? You're going to have to know it, 180. All right, so 42 plus 56 is 98 plus x equals 180. Subtract 98 from both sides, and x equals 82 degrees. Okay? Now, this last one will not be on your exam, but it will be on the honors exam. Since you guys both have the same review video, we'll just go over it real quick. It's not bad for you guys to go over this, because when you go to take the MAPS test could give you 7th grade standards, right? Does anybody remember the formula for circumference? C equals 2 pi r. If you know the formula, it's like the simplest substitution there is, right? C equals 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times 5. All right, so someone real quick, what's 6.28 times 5? It's going to be 30 something. C is approximately 31.4. Okay, 31.4, and it's inches. All right, so circumference, the biggest challenge there is just knowing your formula. So while this is not going to be on your final exam for standard pre-algebra, it is still important to know, because we know when we take our standardized assessments like our MAPS test, all of those types of questions are open game. All right, let's go over proportions real quick. All right, so we're just going to do one problem, but this is really important. This type of problem is very important for your final exam. So it says a tree is 5 feet tall and casts an 8-foot shadow. So however you want to write this ratio, you can go height over shadow, you can go shadow over height, but you have to be comparing the same unit on both sides of the ratio. So I'm just going to do height over shadow. All right, so the tree is 5 feet tall, casts an 8-foot shadow. A nearby building cast a shadow that is 12 feet long. What is the height of the building? So on my first ratio, I went height over shadow. So guess what I have to do on the other side? Height over shadow. So 12 goes in the bottom. Now I can do my cross products. 8x equals 60. Divide both sides by 8, and I should get 7.5. That's halfway between 56 and 70, or 64. Can anybody verify that? It should be 7.5 feet. X is 7.5 feet. All right. Questions? Questions? Because you're about to practice some of these in IXL. All right, proportions, and then last but not least, I guess I'm going to have to jump. All right, volume. So we did transformations. We looked at angles, all right, angles of a triangle. Now let's look at volume. The key here on your final, and this is on your final, you have to know, you've got to know your formulas. All right, so I'm just going to pause here just for a minute. I want you guys to try to remember your formulas. This was not that long ago that you guys had this chapter 10 test. All right, so let's see if you can remember your formulas, plug your numbers in, and solve for the volume of this cone and the cylinder. Okay, cone volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So volume equals 1/3 times 3.14. What is my radius? 7. So what is 7 squared? 49. And what is the height? 10. All right, so 49 times 10, that's 490. And then I do 490 times 3.14. And then I divide that by 3. And the volume is approximately 512.9 inches. Oh, inches cubed. Got to cube your unit. Okay. Any questions?
How'd you get
0.9? I rounded it was 0.86, so I rounded the 8 up to a 9. On your final, it'll say specifically how to round it. And remember, it is multiple choice, so you'll have some options. What is the only difference with the cylinder? What's the only difference, guys?
You don't do 1/3. You don't do 1/3.
Okay, don't do 1/3. Volume equals pi r squared h. So volume equals 3.14 times the radius squared, so 5 squared is 25, times my height. All right, so 3.14
I got it.
times 4 times 25.
It's 314.
314. So volume is approximately 314. It still is approximately because the pi value is always rounded, that 3.14. All right, you don't have to worry about the squiggly sign for your final. That's already going to be in there, but it is technically correct to use that approximation sign. All right, guys, so that's going to cover everything from these units that you need to know for your final, and we're going to keep going over this, but this is really kind of some of those core concepts in a nutshell.